We're on? Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. So it's been we've been in the walkout now for 2 months. What? Oh, two days. Okay, 2 days. But everything's going fine. It's completely organized. It's good. It's fine. It'll probably be over tomorrow. Probably not. All right. No, seriously. Okay, so 2 days of the walkout. I promised you on day two you would have an assignment. So let's look at what you're going to do. Alrighty. So this is you created your Google Docs that says AP and your first name, as you see in the upper left of your screen. That is my first name, which you are not allowed to use. So it should say AP and your first name. What I want you to do is in bold and underlined, I want you to write Intro to Cold War. And you're going to answer 5 questions. I say tonight. It's not due tonight. But you're going to answer 5 questions. And they're pretty easy. They are dates. Okay, so you're going to get these from chapter 30. But it will require you to do a little research and some reading. So we'll go over what I am looking for today. Here we go. And I'm going to move this over. Oh, it won't let me. There we go. All right. So this is an intro to the Cold War. All right, and hopefully some of you have already read about Chapter 30, so you know what we're talking about. I put 4 or 5 of those terms on your last homework assignment, so let's quickly just look over what we're talking about. So this is question number 1, blank. Okay, to establish a secure USSR, and I'm not going to read the whole slide to you, but this is where I want you to put the month in the year. You don't have to put the exact date, but the month and the year when the USSR establishes an Eastern Bloc. This is when Eastern European countries decide to go with the Soviet Union to get extra protection just after the war. I will give you a little bit of a hint here. This is going to be very shortly after World War II ends. Okay, you can actually see Soviet troops over there to the right in that picture. Now, what I do want to discuss, the Cold War, what we're about to start talking about, is a series of reactions and reactions. Okay, so as you see in the bottom of the slide, okay, you're going to see an action and then a reaction. Okay, as you know, I like to talk with my hands, so I need to make sure I get my hands up into the screen. All right, so what month and what year, question number 1, do the Soviets secure Eastern Europe? All right, and we'll get into that a little more in the next one. Okay. All right, what month and what year is the reaction to this event? It is, I'll give you a little bit of a hint, it is not immediate. All right. So President Truman establishes establishes that the U.S. would provide political and military and economic assistance to democratic nations. All right. Now, in the textbook you'll read this is mostly about Greece and Turkey. All right, so he is providing this assistance. This is what we call the Truman Doctrine. Usually when U.S. presidents come up with a system in dealing with other countries, we refer to this as a doctrine. This is their hard rule for dealing with a certain geographical area. We had the Monroe Doctrine, and now we have the Truman Doctrine, a way to deal with communism, actually, to prevent the spread of communism by assuring that these nations, and in Truman's case, he's specifically talking about Greece and Turkey, but assuring that these nations have political, military, and economic support. So, in what month and in what year did that happen? That is question number 2. Okay, and question number 3 is, in what month and in what year does the U.S. introduce the Marshall Plan? Now, I know we're a European history class, but like I told you before, during World War II, this is where the United States kind of steps up and becomes a world leader. All right, we talked about that the commander of Allied forces in the Pacific was a U.S. general, General MacArthur. The commander of Allied forces in Europe was a U.S. general, General Eisenhower. So the U.S. has kind of become these world leader, at least among democratic countries. All right, we'll see another world leader step up among communist countries. But the Marshall Plan, in what month and in what year does the U.S. introduce the Marshall Plan, named after the Secretary of State Marshall? All right. So this is the rationale behind this is that, and this is another thing we've talked about in U.S. history, or sorry, in world history and European history, is that if you have a poor economy, if you have a large number of people at the bottom and a very small number of people at the top with all of the wealth, you generally see a drastic change in politics. And most often violent change in politics. All right, so number 3 is, what year does the United States introduce the Marshall Plan? All right, drastic change in politics, maybe what's happening at the Capitol, right? Oh, so I'm not supposed to say that? Okay, never mind. All right, so hopefully you guys have been paying attention to the walkout. I'll wrap up and talk a little about that. All right, many European countries accepted aid from the United States. Remember, World War II was fought in the Pacific and in Europe. So the United States, except for Hawaii and Pearl Harbor, is pretty much as far as their economy, as far as where their manufacturing is, and as far as where their population lives, they pretty much go unscathed. Okay, I don't want to say they go unscathed by the amount of troops they lose, because they definitely incur significant losses there. But as far as their ability to produce and their ability to maintain a good economy, they are unscathed compared to Europe. So again, just like World War I, we see the United States, they're going to help by sending aid to Europe and trying to help those countries rebuild. All right, and you see some of the numbers there. I'm not going to read the slide to you. So number 4, okay, the Soviet Union introduces the Molotov Plan. All right, and this is available to Eastern European countries. This is where the Soviet Union is going to bring in a lot of these Eastern European countries to what's going to be referred to as the Iron Curtain. And we'll go over that later. That's another Churchill saying. So in what month and in what year does the Soviet Union introduce the Molotov Plan? You do not need the exact date. You just need the month and year. All right, these countries will include Poland, Czechoslovakia, Eastern Germany, which we're about to talk about, Hungary, Bulgaria, and don't know why I did that, and Romania. All right, so what this is going to create, like I said before, is the Iron Curtain, or the Soviet bloc. All right, you see a map down here at the bottom. These are the countries that, in effect, belong to the Soviet Union, and this is what will be the other side of the Cold War versus the U.S. and NATO allies. All right, we call this the Council of Mutual Economic Assistance, and this starts in 1949. All right, so, okay, question 4 was Molotov Plan. Question 5 is right cheer. Okay, so in what month and in what year do the Allies merge their occupied territory in Germany, West Germany? What year and in what month do they merge into one and form West Germany? As you guys have hopefully read, Germany is divided up after the war, and it's divided up between the Allies, the British, the French, the Americans, and the Russians. Well, the Americans, the British, and the French will merge their territory, and that will become West Germany. West Germany will be a democracy, and in East Germany, the area controlled by the fourth ally, Russia, or the Soviet Union, that territory will become communist. So when we talk about the Cold War, the capital of the Cold War is Berlin, because not only is all of Germany, the country, divided between communism in the east and democracy in the west, but in the middle of East Germany, in the middle of communist East Germany, Berlin, the capital of Germany, is also divided west to democracy and east to communism. So if we want to see these two ideologies right next to each other during the Cold War, we look to Berlin. And there'll be several incidents. I'm going to stop here tonight, but there'll be several incidents that occur. The Berlin airlift, which hopefully you've read about. Berlin crisis, which we'll hopefully talk about in class if the walkout comes to an end soon, because I love the Berlin crisis. But if not, I will make a video on it, and it's a fun thing or a scary thing to talk about, depending on how you look at it. But this one city, imagine Oklahoma City being divided around I-40, split right down the middle between north and south, and one side being a democracy and one side being communism. This is what we saw during the Cold War. So a lot of people looked to Berlin to see these two ideologies right next to each other. Was communism doing better than democracy? Was democracy outperforming communism? Was a free economy better than a government-controlled economy? So we will look at Berlin a lot during the Cold War. All right, and that will do it for me tonight. What I want you to do is, in that document you shared with me, like I discussed earlier, I want you to, if you have not already created it, I want you to make sure, and I think most everybody created the document, make sure you have shared a Google Doc with me that is titled AP and your first name. It's got to say AP, because I will not be able to find it if it does not. AP and your first name, and then underline Intro to Cold War and answer those 5 questions. I am just looking for the month and the year. I do not want the exact day. All right, so fill out those 5. And sorry for the late video tonight, guys. I had night class, so I only got home about an hour ago. Tomorrow I don't have class, so after I get home from the Capitol, and I have been at the Capitol yesterday and today. My video is joking at the beginning, but seriously, it feels like 2 weeks that I've been out. It's been a long couple of days. But I will try to post another video tomorrow. My goal for these is to keep the assignments fairly simple, so I can try to post 1 a day. I'd rather do that than post a long assignment and then not post anything for a week, because we don't know when this is going to come to a resolution. We've already canceled class for tomorrow, but I am hearing that Thursday is probably, we're probably going to be out again on Thursday, but you never know. The legislature may get something together tomorrow. They may pass something where we can come back to class. But if you guys have any questions, just please email me or post right here in the announcements for this video. Or please post in Google Classroom and not on YouTube. I check the Google Classroom a lot more. All right, so thank you guys. Have a good night. Yeah, we'll call it.